Everyone, and welcome. I'm so glad that you could be here for this roundtable discussion with the amazing dungeon masters who lead AANE's Dungeons and Dragons games for us all here at AANE. We offer several groups for players to choose from, including beginner D&D, and we also offer for experienced groups for folks who have played before or who are a little bit more familiar or who have advanced from our beginner group. So today we're going to explore how D&D creates space for connection, creativity, identity, and community, especially for us as neurodivergent players and storytellers. Some of the folks you'll hear from today are autistic or otherwise neurodivergent themselves and bring that lived experience right into the worlds that they create. After our discussion, you'll get to see a little bit of gameplay in action and AANE staff as the adventuring party. If you're not interested in the Q&A, feel free to skip ahead. So with that said, let's roll some dice and get started. Our first question that I would like to ask folks to do is just to go around and introduce yourselves. What is your role within D&D? Here at AANE, can you tell us a little bit about how you first got started with D&D? And we'll start with you, Liv.
Ooh, put me on. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this. My name is Liv Gallup. I have worked at AANE for about 8 years now, and I think for seven of those, we have had a D&D um, group that Nick and I have run for a long time, and then our Jasper and Taylor got involved with later on. So I'm very grateful first that it's lasted for so long. But as far as me getting involved in D&D, period, I started playing in college. I friends with a lot of lovely folks that were into the game already, and so they sold it as don't you want to like hang out with your friends but also like pretend to swing swords and stuff, and I was like, that sounds awesome. Actually, I would really like to do that. And so we would get together after our classes and do it then. And I've just had a really cool like love for it since then, and I've really enjoyed being able to continue doing it, and especially now with fellow neurodivergent folks. I feel like in specific groups like this, where our imaginations can really run wild without parameters, really, it just makes for such a cool fantasy environment, and also just like a mutual like creative space that we all get to exist in, that brings my heart a lot of joy. Um,
Yeah, how about we'll go with you, Jasper.
All right. I'm just usually not used to having my mic on mute because I'm usually talking the whole time. But hi, I am Jasper. I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons since I was some kind of role-playing games since I was 14. 14 or 15, and then I started really getting serious about it, playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons in college. I played with my friends independently. I played with an organized group on our college campus. And from then I've played with a lot of I played with close personal friend groups and small groups, but I've also played with larger organized groups that operate on a wider scale, that are geared towards introducing players to the game and maintaining games long term in situations like game stores and comic book shops. I currently run the beginner D&D for AANE. I've been doing that for about 2 years. And they were looking to expand when they were looking to expand the D&D program, and Jay, my good friend from college, brought me into the fold. I really love it. I think it's super rewarding to be able to introduce fellow neurodivergent folks to the space that has brought me so much community in the past. I've moved around quite a lot in these past 10 or so years, and being able to have a place in the communities, the wider communities that I come to, that I know I can go to. I know I can find somebody to play, to sit down and roll some dice with, has been really a comfort in that kind of, not tumultuous, but, you in amongst a lot of change in my life.
Nick, why don't you go?
Yeah, so like Liv said, I was one of the people who first started it when we decided that there was enough overlap in our population. This was a group we should probably offer. For myself, I technically played it when I was a kid, and played like Baldur's Gate 2 and so on. But to be honest, playing like actual role-playing games, I didn't really do that in earnest until after college. But I've been doing that for several years um, when we started doing it here. And I'm really happy that we've been able to do this for so long and to keep, telling stories and working out stories with people, and tinkering with mechanics, which is something I like doing. Mm.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And Taylor, I know that you're not technically a DM here, but why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I am Taylor Egler. I am volunteer with AANE in regards to the D&D program. I've been playing D&D for about a decade, technically longer, but I don't really count the times that my dad showed me when I was little, really in regards to playing. Uh, actually trying the game. But I've been role playing since I was 16 and have been a part of at least some kind of D&D game since college officially. So, like I said, about a decade, maybe closer to 13 years at this point. I have DM'd some. I have just been a regular player. I've done some online facilitated games as well as in person. And similar to other people here, it's just been really good to have a community to join in on that I know oftentimes hosts neurodivergent individuals and is just fun to explore and create with.
Thank you. And for folks out there, just a little bit about me. My name is Jason Igler. I'm a senior manager here at AANE. Um, I also manage the D&D programming here at AANE, alongside my colleague, Maggie Bulby. And so that is my role here today is I am here to facilitate this discussion and show you what this programming is all about. So um, one thing I was thinking about with regards to how people manage their campaigns and how they manage their tables, even virtually, um, is that I'm curious, are there things that you do at your tables that you think are especially welcoming for other neurodivergent folks? And we'll start with the same order. So, Liv, if you'd like to go first.
That's a really good question. Um, I'm kind of thinking of my answer off the rip right now, so forgive me if I stutter a little bit. But one of the things that I find is just especially helpful for neurodivergent folks in a D&D universe is, we often in, polite public are meant to mask a lot, and being made to do so is exhausting and makes it so that it's hard to truly be ourselves a lot of the time. And in a D&D universe, not only do you get to unmask and make your character do whatever it is you would like them to do, but also you can embellish yourself if you indeed are doing a sort of self-insert character, and give yourself, fantastical power beyond what even this world could give you. And it turns into this, this creative form of liberation in my mind, where if you, um, you know, view yourself a certain way or you want to be able to do something, you simply can, within the rule books of the D&D universe, of course. But as long as you adhere to those little bits of things, then you're able to craft this version of yourself that is, more free than what you might be able to do, um, in your daily life. And so I view it, as much as it is a fun activity, as a form of liberation as well.
I love that. Having it framed as a form of liberation is really, yeah. Jasper, would you like to go?
Absolutely. I actually have something that sort of segues a lot of off of what Liv said. Um, is that even though in a D&D universe there you can do anything within the scope of the rules. Um, I like rules. I love rules. I like how they create structure for stories in D&D. And I find that having mixing that structure with the creative freedom and liberation uh, the, of Dungeons and Dragons can be really helpful for autistic people. I find that some groups end up very open-ended, and especially as I work with new players, that is stressful. If you're basically in this new situation and somebody's telling you run wild and you have no idea what to do. I work a lot with my players on what to do. I give lists of options for I have lists of options that they can pick from, of course, as a starting point, not as a not as a be all end all. And I'm just very clear from the beginning that we're coming into this with no assumption of sort of a cultural familiarity with gaming and gaming spaces or the norms in gaming spaces, and to be very clear about norms in those spaces and how to have a neuro-affirming environment with those norms. So I really starting from the beginning and building like a really good foundation so you can go on and move on and explore this really great world and all the really cool people you get to meet.
Yeah, thank you. So Taylor, why don't you also answer the question? I know that you've DM'd games in the past as well. So what are
Yeah.
some things that you do to make your table especially welcoming for neurodivergent people?
Yeah, so in situations, most of the tables that I've worked with are neurodivergent, whether it's been playing in person or online. Most of the time, there is always kind of segueing into both of what Liv and Jasper have said. The thing for me is that besides getting through the rules and teaching people how to play, it's also segueing into allowing us to not worry if we mess up and trying to recommend ways that work best for us in these situations. Like, you can stim at the table if some people prefer having something in their hands to, like, while they're playing, always having that available, so that way, not just with the structure of the game, but also for our own sakes, we can take time for ourselves while we're waiting for our turns or while we're trying to think of something. I always recommend being able to stim and have access to something that helps ground you. That's a big thing for accessibility for me. Aside from that, it's I've played with a lot of new players, partially because I volunteer with Jasper. But I also, like, my first time DMing was hilariously and probably not smartly with a bunch of newbies. So I had to really take the time to, like, work through all of the new things for the game that they weren't used to, like, grappling rules. That was fun. Because it was in 3.5, which is historically one of the worst sets of grappling rules to work with. But that's not super important. Sometimes you have to hand wave things, and that's okay. And reminding people that, like, having structure and rules is the reason why the game exists, so that way we can all play and enjoy it. But sometimes if things get a little too complicated, dumbing it down isn't terrible, if that makes sense. As long as it's within reason.
If you don't mind, I want to piggyback off of something
Go
Taylor
for it.
said real quick. I always say in my beginner game, my goal is not to have people know all of the rules. The rules of D&D are big, right? I think I have them right here.
It's a big book.
This is big book. There's a lot going on in this game. You don't need to know all of it. You need to be able to know how to ask the right questions and how to find answers from your DM and from your fellow players and from your resources. And I think that's the most important part of, I guess, the beginner program.
No, I 100% agree with that entirely.
Yeah, thank you so much. Nick, do you want
Um,
to
yeah.
answer?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say something I try and do, and sort of related, is I will try and make like a short list of options, either if someone is just generally struggling with what their options as a character are, or in this certain circumstance, yeah, I will be like, okay, so these are the things that you would probably consider doing in this circumstance if you're not sure. And I try and set up like so that they have easily accessible that kind of thing so that they're not trying to look through the entire range of all of their things. I'll put a few things that are like place them to be more accessible, more in the first range of options that they see, sort of. Um, and yeah, sometimes we'll, if someone needs to take a break or something, we'll just sort of come back to someone. We'll just sort of reshuffle initiative a little bit to just, okay, you're not quite ready yet. We'll just get back to you when you are. Um,
Thank you. The next question I have is, are there little rituals or structures or tools that you use to help players feel grounded or settled within your group? And we'll start with you, Liv, if you'd like.
Hmm. So I think of the DMs that work here, I am probably the most open-ended as far as like how you move about the world and stuff. Jasper, that actually came to mind when you were mentioning like being able to rely on the comfort of the rules and stuff like that. I think I am the most loosey goosey when it comes to like this might be up to player discretion or this might be up to DM discretion, and like it's kind of like a like a participatory world that still is based in the rules, but might have a few things stretched here or there. And that being the case, I think it really helps if the players just super lean into the characters that they're doing. And so I try to add as much stuff into my campaigns that let the characters make personality based decisions so that if something that comes up that there isn't a rule for, or that I am maybe even deliberately going around even if there is a rule for it, then a character might be able to be like, okay, well, like what really would I do here? And they might choose a variety of different things based on either their character's alignment or their class or simply just what that character functions like as a person. And I find that losing yourself in the character of, well, your character is helpful in not only making those kinds of decisions, but just like losing yourself in the 2 hours that we have together as players for sure.
Oh, thank you. Jasper.
So I am a pretty chronic let's jump right in person. I will once everybody gets in, once I notice everybody's kind of settled, everybody's had some time to talk a little bit if they want or not. We just really jump right into the game. I always I always want to be to keep characters moving, to keep gameplay active, to have make sure the characters have a goal or something clear and concrete they want to do. Of course, we are more than welcome to go on sidetracks along the way. I actually have in one of my resources that I've made for new players a little tip that there is no obligation to be cautious. And that some of the most fun role-playing moments come from characters acting spontaneously or recklessly.
That's good.
Uh,
I might steal that.
yeah, definitely. I should send you this doc. Of course, that is also after the list of things to do when you're exploring a room, which does include interacting with the door and leaving. Um, it is chronically a problem for D&D players to get stuck in rooms and at doors to overthink the concept of a door because something might be on the other side. And while something dangerous sometimes is, 9 times out of 10, it's just a door. Um, but back to my point with the recklessness. Again, even within my sort of more rigidly ruled game, I try to inspire characters to do what they want, do what they think would make an interesting story, not necessarily what's going to be the most efficient or correct way to do things.
Jasper, I'm curious if you could talk a little bit more about the specific tools that you use, such as Roll20, in ensuring that the game keeps moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So I use a system that is actually I currently do not use Roll20, but I currently use a system called D&D Beyond, which is a system published by the same folks who publish Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast. And I use that to manage all of my characters, all of my players' character information, so I can see it, so they have access to all of the same resources I have access to. It allows me to share resources that I've purchased with my players. Um, and then within D&D Beyond, there's a function called maps. So oftentimes when you play a game in person in visual space, people will lay out what's called a battle map. It's a wipe-offable grid of 1-inch squares that you can use to know where your characters are in relation to other things. It's frequently useful in the combat aspect of D&D. Maps is a virtual version of that. It allows me to again be very clear about where players are, so they can see the map, they can see visually the doors that they can go through. So we don't have to you don't have to keep that in your brain. You can have that out in front of you and think about the other things that could potentially be in your environment. I find that it helps. Again, I do run a beginner group. Um, it helps with the rules, so we don't get necessarily so stuck up on the math. The character sheets available on D&D Beyond can roll right into maps, so it makes that very convenient. So we don't have to, find every modifier for everything. Though I do try to explain what modifiers are going into things so people understand sort of the numerical mathy aspect of it. But I find it works. The setup can sometimes be a little bit difficult, but I find it really pays off for easier gameplay in the end.
I want to going off of that. I don't use D&D Beyond. I use Foundry VTT, but I think it's a similar principle. And yeah, one of the things I do is I keep a player called the Watcher, who is there in case anyone's having technical issues, or so that like if I need people to see something, I can share screen and be like, okay, so this is the thing that I'm trying to draw attention to. And then yeah, they can see their characters and they have oh, and something that I do is like if in doubt, if you're having trouble or if you're just, unsure what to roll, just roll a flat D20 and we'll work out if we need to do math. Because if you roll an 18, you probably made it, and if you rolled a 3, you probably failed it, and we probably don't need to actually work out the mod.
Yeah, thank you for that. Taylor, what about you? What structures or rituals have you used in the past to help players feel grounded or settled?
It's mostly anytime when volunteering with Jasper, it's mostly jumping in and reminding people that it's okay to let yourself do whatever it is that you're thinking about doing instead of waiting for somebody else to do it. A lot of times with new players, as Jasper mentioned with the door situation, it's people are afraid to react at times, especially when new in a new environment or with new people or learning a new game. So it's a matter of working on that and just gently nudging people, even if it is just me playing as my character, being like, I'm going to go rush through the door regardless. Because sometimes you need to have at least one moment where somebody does something silly and it breaks the tension. Otherwise, generally
Or
speaking,
creates more tension.
or creates more tension because then you have the rest of the party yelling at you, which is even more fun. If you know what you're doing and have people that are aware that that's fine. But it's reminding people that it's okay just because we have these social norms and expectations in real life. While it does exist in D&D, it's okay to do like to talk and ask questions and figure out what works best for you in those moments. Um, Sometimes it's even a matter of just like introducing a silly NPC to get people into it. As far as rituals
Meepo,
go,
meepo.
Nepo. Everybody will. One thing is that characters will always fall in love with a little guy. You just need a little guy. It doesn't matter what he is. If he's a little guy, the characters are going to want to.
You walk into the tavern and you see that there is a strange man hunched over with a big claw grasping at the table in front of him. I roll perception. What? Who else is in here? There's a goblin named Sean. I want to talk to Sean.
Yep, little guy.
Everybody loves a little guy. If you're talking about things that I use, I use my little guys, my non-player characters, very much to encourage players to move in the direction that I think they should move in. Sometimes they would like to move in a different direction, but it's much easier to argue through Meepo, the really sad kobold who lost his dragon pet, than it is to argue through than it is to try to lord from above as the DM.
A well-created NPC is just you hurting your players.
That actually brings me right to the next question, which was, do you ever build parts of yourself into the stories or NPCs that you create?
Meepo is the saddest part of myself. He's actually written into the. I use a lot of pre-written adventures because I end up working a lot with rules and a lot with individual players and keeping my own story straight. Gets a little bit hectic in specifically beginners, but I play up some of these NPCs as, as things, as parts of myself a lot. I mean, we've all had hard times, and it's really sometimes cathartic to be able to funnel that into the saddest little man you could possibly imagine.
Sometimes it's fun to do it with player characters too. Sometimes you can just take the I feel like an absolute rage machine and I don't want to play a barbarian. I want to play a wizard that deals with that or silly things like that.
What about you, Liv?
Well, I mean, before I came out, I would definitely play girl characters all the time. So,
Many such cases.
many such cases. But nowadays, I huh, I whenever I am a player character, I'll often do like a sort of like big like barbarian type of thing, and like I don't know really what that says about me, that I often gravitate towards such things, but yeah, I usually end up picking like a big brute character. So I don't know if that's an expression of like how I would like to carry myself or like how I think I do carry myself. Like I don't know. So forgive me, this isn't as comprehensive an answer as y'all had, but yeah.
I find it quite interesting as players move through the life cycle of playing games. The first couple of characters people make tend to be very deep reflections of themselves and tend to honestly be sometimes quasi-therapeutic in how they process, themselves and they're processing their inner trauma. I mean, everybody's first D&D character is them as a dragon, or something. Them in a hat, basically. And then as you play longer and as you engage with the space longer, that kind of it moves your characters move farther from yourself. I found like recently I played a fish wizard because I thought it would be funny, and I spent almost a year in the uh every Friday playing a fish wizard who had control of time. Because I thought that was neat.
Yeah,
It just
that's
kind of moves like that.
Jay put in the comments that there. Do you want me to read this, Jay?
Yeah, I can read it out loud. I put in the
Okay.
comments that my first tabletop roleplay character was actually not through D&D, it was through another game called Masks, and I was an alien space guinea pig with anxiety, a superiority complex, and no social skills. And I think,
So,
yeah,
so a
that's
character with
I
autism.
no comment.
yeah. And Nick, I'm wondering about you. Do you ever build parts of yourself into your stories or NPCs?
I definitely do. I mean, I don't think you can avoid it, although I think a lot of the time it's the uh spe setting scenario specific aspects. I would say that there are times when a character exists as a vessel of bafflement at the just the shenanigans that are happening right now. Um, um, sorry.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Liv, I see that you also had more to say.
Yeah, so thank you for specifying that it could be putting yourself into just your stories too, because I do almost exclusively homebrew campaigns. I really, really love writing. I really love, like throwing characters into different scenarios that that they might not have seen before.
We've
And
really got the polar opposite of DM styles going here.
yeah, we really do, huh?
Yeah.
That's kind of sick though. I like it. And so I uh, usually in the stories, I put these like massive moral quandaries for characters to deal with. And I think I do that because like I am like a stickler for justice, where like I feel like I like like if it can be that if it is possible that the truth can be told, I want to tell it. And so I try to put my characters into similar scenarios where if they come across something that like can be brought to justice, I'm like, okay, how are they going to do it? And then sometimes they choose to not do it, and then I get to watch their characters be little evil gremlins, and like because it's D&D, that's perfectly okay. But yeah, that's that usually ends up being a big part of my campaigns is having like a big moral quandary there.
No, that makes sense. I would say like anytime that I've ever done any kind of DMing, I always like because I like learning about people and like interacting with people. Anytime the part of me that's in there is the person who wants to get in and find out what the tea is and spill it. So if I can figure out what's in your backstory that might cause problems, I'm going to do so because it's great. I love to witness that tension for your characters and see how that plays out because one, it's nice to actually work on storylines that are written if they're already there, but it's also fun to get a little bit of drama out there for player characters to play around with.
Say like, you know, I think one of the biggest things that I have really appreciated about tabletop gaming is sometimes the ability for some DMs to take aspects of other games and other models and utilize them heavily to build out a story together with their folks. And one of the ways that I know that I've done this at my tables is we've used the Fate system, which is a different game system, to collaboratively build storylines, cultures, um, everything that like environment, everything. Um, so I think there's like so many different ways to really build these stories, and it's interesting how you put little pieces of yourself into the stories that you create. Yeah. Now, fun question here is what has been one of your favorite character arcs or in-game moments that has happened?
I'm answering this right now. So I am fortunate enough to have a group that has been that has harbored four of the same people for 6 years now. We ended up counting this last time we met, and it was 6 years total that these four people have been coming back to AANE D&D. So that's already super cool. And there was a while where we were playing characters that were like it was essentially every new round of D&D we would just pick up the campaign where we left off last, and it culminated in us figuring out who the big bad was eventually. And this was after 4 years of playing essentially the same campaign. And so after these 4 years they figured out who the big bad was, and it turns out that it was a uh, like a negative dimension evil version of one of the characters, and it also happened to be a negative dimension evil version of the comic relief character in the party. And so, like, it's like nobody suspected that this guy, but then his alter self was like this incredibly powerful lich that was siphoning, energy from our dimension for his and blah, blah, blah. And, like terrible, terrible stuff. So, because we had been playing together for 4 years, their characters were extremely high level. I believe they ended up being like 18 by the time we were around there. And so what they did to defeat the big bad was they blessed the Arctic, all of it, the whole thing, and managed to raise it into the air as a massive holy water bomb and dropped it on the big bad guy, thus killing him. And so I was so I was so excited by that because, like, what a cool way to round off 4 years of a campaign. Yeah, I blessed the Arctic and dropped it on a guy. I win. Like, yeah, you know what? You deserve that one. That's really cool. So that's my favorite character arc right there.
Wonder how much damage the environment took for that.
Don't worry about it.
But it was a lot.
What about you, Jasper?
Oh God, I have played in so many different types of games in this lovely and beautiful world we call Dungeons and Dragons. I think one of my favorite AANE moments was actually in one of my first games. I had it's very interesting to I play with a lot of very seasoned players. I have a group that has been meeting outside of AANE, but we have been meeting on Fridays for a better part of the decade. Um, and I and the previous groups I've run have been with very experienced players looking for kind of a high level experience. So it's been really unique to me running beginner D&D, seeing people take brand new approaches that I do not expect to situations that I think that as an experienced player, I think have a cut and dry way to solve. I had a player who insisted on using a weasel corpse to solve every problem. At the first day of the game, we encountered a pack of giant weasels, and they killed the weasels. And we remained in the same house for the rest of the game. It was kind of like a haunted house deal. And this person basically carried around these weasel corpses and would throw them at things, would use them as like bait to disguise other things. Uh, Use like a wind spell to have it like float through the hallway to try to scare off another entity in the house. It was unique. Um, eventually, I it got to the point where we had to discuss putting a power cap on what the weasel could do because this person was just running so creatively with this, and unfortunately, due to the nature of D&D, if I let the weasel be God, then people won't feel good achieving higher levels of power. But I felt so bad having to do that. I really wanted to let this weasel run wild.
Thank you for sharing the weasel story.
Oh my God, I remember that. Wasn't that like one of the first few ones that we
Yeah,
did?
that was one of the first
Yeah,
few ones. It was
I thought,
I think it was the second time I ran Salt Marsh.
yeah. Can I use the weasel?
Can I use the weasel? Can I use wind and the weasel? I want to use control elements and the weasel.
Yep. Um, for me, the one that I can think of is when we were doing the Chult campaign with a group of experienced D&D players, and we had a druid who entirely played the game to be a dinosaur man, just to see what he could turn into with the CR levels that he had and everything.
For
And we had a
reference,
sequence.
Chult is a land in like the traditional fantasy world of D&D that's full of dinosaurs and assorted other things.
Yeah, undead. A curse that absolutely is going. If you die, you
Dinosaurs,
die forever.
zombies that vomit dinosaurs
Dinosaurs that
that
vomit zombies.
vomit
Yeah.
zombies. Yeah.
Yeah, whole thing. So that terrible creature that you mentioned that we all dislike, which is the dinosaur, the T-Rex that has zombies in its maw, we fought that, and it was not a fun fight. However, my favorite part of it was at the end of the fight because we had, I got polymorphed into a T-Rex or something akin to it. I don't think it was quite a T-Rex, but it was something big. And we had the druid who was played as something else, and I rolled a crit and took it out.
Taylor,
Yeah.
this also happened in my Chult game.
Did you roar to where the
I
stars
was
appeared? Because that happened
also
afterwards.
I was also polymorphed into a T-Rex
Yeah.
and rolled a crit.
Yeah, I think
So
it's a quintessential. You have to have that when you're fighting. In Chult, you have to turn to a T-Rex and crit obnoxiously. Um, but because I was playing the cleric and I was a cleric that was stuck between, like, I had three gods trying to pull me to their favor. When I rolled the crit, the DM secretly rolled something else to have my god appear, basically to help out with the situation that happens in Cholt, and uh kill the creature and let out this obnoxious T-Rex roar, and I literally like solar beamed into the sun kind of thing for a moment. And it was one of those moments where it's like, this is insane. I am standing on top of another dinosaur as a dinosaur, and I killed this terrible creature. And that has stuck with me.
Nick, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the details are complicated, but there was a time when they were just really impressed me with their basically using every element and negotiating tactic that they had to turn what was initially a sort of betrayal into a by the other person into sort of a mutually beneficial result, which has sort of stuck through, like just sort of kind of changed the characterization of that character for the rest of the campaign. Just in terms of, the uh, determination to find a way through this, where they could all work it out. I know, sorry, this is vague, but um, just sort of, um, yeah, like sticking with a sort of determined decency, even at times when when the most expedient solution was a lot more negative. I'm sorry, I'm not phrasing this well. Um,
Oh, you're fine. Yeah. Do you
um,
have a moment from a game that you've played outside of AANE that you feel comfortable talking about that you found to be very fun?
I'm gonna have to think about it. Sorry, my
Yeah, no worries.
um,
Yeah.
I'll get back to
Okay, yeah. Um, so moving on, I'm wondering, we're kind of sort of at the end of our questions here, but what impact have you seen D&D have on the players in your group, socially, emotionally, creatively? We'll start with you, Jasper.
okay, I gotta be very careful about this or I'm gonna start crying. Um, I have seen so much growth in players that I've played with through A&E and players I've played with in other settings, just through like wild growth through all kinds of emotional and even skills based stuff. It's really, really rewarding as a DM, but also just very cool to watch people basically come out of their shell and start to get comfortable with the group and with the space. Who the people who I had to, give lists of options to before, starting to come up with their own ideas and really starting to make the game their own. It's really awesome to see that. And I mean, outside of A&E, I've seen D and like again, some of my longest standing friends are through role-playing game communities. These types of things build incredibly strong friendships that will, last over years and miles and working in Japan. Um, we had a campaign member who moved to Japan for 2 years, and we made it work. Even though it was an in-person game, we videoed her into the table because we just didn't want to play without her. Um, it's really an incredible thing to just see what this game brings out in people.
Yeah, I think you really get to see people, and we mostly play online, which has its own communication challenges, and it's really great, to see people sort of learn, to like both to advocate for themselves in terms of like in making sure that they get their own chance to speak, that they're not, but also for leaving space for other people. Um, and again, yeah, I've seen a number of my players become good friends outside as well. So it's really great.
I'm gonna like just echo like those two similar sentiments because like Jasper, like you said, it can cause like dear and long friendships participating in role playing together. And I just want to reiterate again the group that I've had the privilege of facilitating for those 6 years now. Um, those four did not know each other when they first signed up for D&D, but they came here as folks that like that enjoy role playing games and who are also neurodivergent, and became such strong friends that like for 6 whole years we meet up in the same place, quote unquote, because it's online, but we meet in the same place every other Wednesday, and it's been like that for 6 whole years. And like watching those four become such dear friends has been such a treat. Two of them moved in with each other actually, and they wouldn't have known each other if not for playing D&D. So it forges friendships, roommates, and this isn't necessarily what's happening with my group in particular, but like it forges families, like people who get together and like really stay um, together for long enough. Uh, might become a polycule even. Hi, Jay. You can edit that last part out if that's not appropriate for the video. But but anyway, yes, it's a wonderful way to forge relationships of all sorts for sure.
And just echoing on that comment before I let Taylor talk for a second. Yes, I not necessarily through D&D, but through tabletop gaming it was how I met my partners. It's how I found my family. And I would blame tabletop gaming for the fact that I now have a child. So there you go. Taylor, do you
That's
want to
sick.
speak to that?
Blame?
You can't blame it, let's be honest. But anyway,
Blame is a hard word. I will hold it responsible and I will cherish it for the fact that I now have a child.
that's fair. I mean, there's so much that I can like attribute gaming towards. It's the whole entire reason why me and my husband met. To start off with, like it was I met him playing what is it? Oh my gosh, it's a Warhammer adjacent Dark Heresy. That was my first like foray into anything.
Wow,
um
I'm so sorry.
I know it was one like I had played D&D before, so like I knew what I was doing. But like Dark Heresy, you have two options for people who don't know. It's a tabletop role playing game that oftentimes people refer to as you're supposed to play grim dark, but like dark with a K at the end, because I realized it sounded like I said a P. Anyway, but instead, a lot of times it turns out as grim derp because you have people who try to overdo it, and it doesn't always work out that way. Um, it's a like I said Warhammer based system, and my at the time A friend. I don't even know if I could call him a friend at the time. He introduced me to it, and it led from playing that to playing a Star Wars campaign over the course of a summer, which led to us playing an actual D&D campaign, which led to us uh, dating, which led to me coming out where I'm at now and following him into law school and eventually having a kid and everything else that we have here in this household. um, but outside of my personal life with my family, it's also been a connection piece for friends of mine literally everywhere. Like, I've become friends with all of you. Nick, I obviously don't know you as well, but Liv and Jasper, I know you guys both pretty well at this point. And, obviously speaking, Jay, am I allowed to say it?
Yeah, so for reference, I am married to Taylor and Josh and our platonic life partner,
Outside
Justice.
of my family and life, like literally everybody that's in my household, or in my life, I've met through role playing, either online doing like non-traditional text written role play, all the way to tabletop. Um, so like big thing for me for connectivity is that like a lot of my core friend group that I still interact with online, most of them I DM'd the Star Wars game, which is like I said, 3.5 rules, heck of a system. It's a mess, but because I didn't really focus on that too much and just let us all have fun, there's still moments where we're all talking about like, oh, remember when Ajax did this, or remember when this character did that, or remember when we let you have like 20 Zubats just hang off of you for no reason because we sent you to a planet that had bats and you were playing a literal Pokemon Ranger and wanted to have Zubats and
I
things like
love the callbacks to stuff that happened, years and actually I started playing with that group like 2018.
yeah.
And my group in 20 my Friday group in 2018, and we still call back to stuff that happened there.
Oh
That
yeah.
happened then, like it creates really like core memories, and it's just a great space.
Oh yeah. No, and I think that's a good reason why like D&D is so connecting for neurodivergent specifically, because like aside from the structure and the creativity aspects of it, which are really the you know bread and butter for what we need to thrive to an extent, is that like we're also allowed to reminisce and talk about our experiences enthusiastically, and there are people who are always going to listen to a D&D story.
Yeah, I find that a lot of neurodiverse people bond a lot over hobbies. Any hobby, I've listened to people talk about the things that baffle me as to why anybody would talk about that, but they're having a great time. And but I find D&D is just very connecting. It's very engaging, and it also draws other people in to it. I say this a lot with I also play card game play trading card games. It's a social hobby. We want more people to play with. We want you.
Which actually,
But
like, let me piggyback off that real quick because Nick, that was the entire reason why we wanted to bring D&D to AANE in the first place, was because it was a social hobby that a lot of our folks were really interested in, and so under the guise of like having fun, it provides the connection that a lot of our population says that they desire. So like we're gonna trick you into having a wholesome good time.
with wizards and magic and
Yeah,
dragons.
yeah, yeah.
No, you're not learning social skills. Don't worry about it.
No, it's okay. We're just fighting
We're
stuff.
just hanging out. We're just buds. We're just making up a story. Don't worry about it.
Nick, were you gonna add to that?
Oh, just that, yeah, like, I know, I've had some players where like that D&D is one of a relatively small number of social engagements that they have. And so, yeah, and and that it's important to them to have that, as a thing that is, yeah, as a regular time that they're meeting up with other people and getting to socialize and, yeah, learning.
Yeah,
I feel so bad when I have to miss my Friday games for like real life stuff.
yeah. Well, so the last question I have for you all is if someone is thinking about trying D&D, for the first time?
Do it.
Do
Yeah,
it.
do it. Well, what else would you want them to know?
Do it.
Thing that I know a lot of people struggle with is when it comes to character creation the first time, don't stress over the huge book. It's going to be okay. If you need somebody to help you out that, like, can walk you through it, find a friend, look for somebody, even check online resources. There's always the capability to find a way to simplify it so that way you can understand it. Because I think for new people, a lot of times, as we showed earlier, the two books that exist, sometimes more depending on what you're grabbing and looking at, can be a lot for people, you
And
know? Don't be afraid.
yeah, I mean, to start with, I would say like getting better at the game doesn't necessarily make the game better. Like you can build the most optimized, perfectly mechanically powerful character. It doesn't necessarily do anything to make the game better if you do that, though. So,
I'll
mm,
piggyback off that. The designers themselves say that the rules kind of start to fall apart when you get up to the higher levels anyway. That the power scaling starts to really fall apart. You have to do a lot more work as both a player and a DM to keep that higher level content engaging. Um,
Yeah.
but where was I going from there? Yeah. Also, you're never gonna stop looking up the rules. You're gonna forget them. Nobody knows all of them.
Yep.
I have tried to make quick reference sheets. I like my references in my notes. I've tried so many times that I've given up. It's impossible to keep them all straight.
I
You're
also
gonna
don't
have
remember
these
it
talks about,
myself.
Always,
yeah.
yeah.
You're still gonna keep talking about the rules. You you're not bad or wrong or, dumb or anything for not remembering encyclopedic knowledge from the giant book.
Mhm.
Nobody expects you to do this.
Mhm.
Yeah, Liv, what were you gonna add?
Well, just first off, that everything that's been said so far is super true, and like boiling it down to like don't sweat it. If you want to try it, find some folks that are cool and will work with you, and like you're going to have a fun time. Like as soon as you're all on the same page about how the game's gonna go, it's gonna be great. And the only thing I'll add to it is for your character, pick one funny thing about your character that can happen every now and then. I often play mine with either like a funny accent or like like some like little like quirky thing that they do, and like it just happens at like these weirdly opportune moments that make everybody laugh, and you know that's what D&D is about to me, is having fun with the buds. And so you know
My fish wizard taking notes at aggressively inopportune times.
I
yeah.
was gonna say, I had a barbarian that I played that was a chaos barbarian, and she was the captain of our ship, and charisma was not her highest stat, and that was hilarious, completely.
Everyone loves a good barbarian that just does stuff.
Yeah.
I have one of my other campaigns. We're running an Orkborg campaign right now, and it's like Morkborg but with orcs. And my character at the very beginning was blessed with having a bottle of fungus alcohol on her at all times, and so she's constantly trying to pawn it off on other people, being like, "You want a drink?" And you know, everyone's like, "Ew, it's made from mushrooms," and she's like, "And have a drink." Like,
Actually, Liv, I will touch on something you said earlier about finding the right group and getting on the same page. If you're in a group and you go to 2 or 3 games and you don't vibe with them and you don't like them and you're not having a good time and they're playing in an entirely different way than you want to play, you don't have to stay. You can go find somebody else to play with. If your character isn't perfect the first time, any D or if your character is running you, any DM, and I will say this, pretty much any DM worth their salt will let you fix it. Um,
a good DM is a flexible DM.
is a
Yeah, and
flexible
a good
DM. A
DM will
good
listen
DM
to you.
a good DM is a fan of the characters, and I take this from masks, from the rulebook for masks, that a good DM is a fan of their characters. They want their characters to succeed. Don't feel trapped in a bad game or a bad situation, because you'll get DMs that are out there that sometimes are want to play because they just want to lord over people. And if they're doing that, hit the bricks.
Yeah. It's supposed to
Um,
be fun.
and I want to say one of the most fun things that I've done as a DM is watch my plans completely fall apart. Either my own personal actual game plans or, the plans of the character who they're going
There's
against.
nothing better than spending 3 hours of your 4 hour session making a plan and then like, oops, a Tarask is here.
I accidentally cast
Surprise
something because I'm a
Tarask.
wild magic wizard and I cause problems.
We're all plants now. Whoops.
Or it's nothing like turning towards your players who have basically just been giving you tidbits of information and turning around and being like, okay, so now I'm going to act on that. And then have it like go sideways 2 seconds after you say that.
Anything they say can and will be used for fun.
Yes.
Exactly.
I remember everything.
I try. I also think it's funny when players think that I know more than I do.
I do remember pretty much everything that you as a player have said, though. And we'll use it for fun.
For fun.
Yep. Yeah, and I guess the big gist here is if you aren't having fun, the whole goal is to have fun. So if you're not having fun, there is always another table in the ocean.
Another table, another
Another game.
character, another game, another system. If you
Yeah.
don't like D&D, game's not for everyone. I've got tons of games I play.
So with that, I would just like to thank everybody. Thanks to each of our DMs for sharing your time, experience, wisdom today. Thank you, Taylor, for being here as well. It's clear that, D&D is more than just a game. It's a tool for connection and storytelling, self-expression, and community. And whether you're a veteran player or someone who's just curious about trying it out, I really hope that this conversation, and I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we hope this conversation helps you feel welcome and excited to explore what D&D and other tabletop games have to offer. For now, we're going to move on to gameplay. If you came just for the Q&A, thank you for sticking with us and keep adventuring. Okay. So hello, everybody. Welcome to our recording of AANE staff playing D&D. Again, my name is Jay. I facilitate, or not facilitate, but I manage some of the D&D groups here at AANE. And we're going to be playing just a little bit of D&D for you guys tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to one of our wonderful dungeon masters, Olive Gallop. Liv, why don't you take it away?
Thank you so much, Jay. Yeah, welcome. We're going to have a fun little game that was a homebrew written for tonight. And we're just going to show y'all what we can do here. To all my lovely player characters, are you guys ready to have a little adventure?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Very cool. Alrighty then. So, we are in a city. The city is called Bijramok, and I can put spellings into the chat if anybody would.
Yeah, can you spell that for me?
Yeah, for sure. It's it's a Bilgemuk. So like Biljamuk, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for sure. And so I'd like to get an idea of what your characters are doing in the city. The city has lots of things that are typical of your regular old place to live. There's markets, there's housing, there's specialty shops like a smithy, and then places to hang out and just be. So there's a bar or a tavern, more accurately, and inn, places to stay. And so, Jasper, what is your character's name?
Okay, my character's name is Wolmist, Wolmist.
Cool.
Um,
If folks could put that in their name, so that
Absolutely.
that'd be great.
Here, let me do my introduction and then I'll do that. So Wolmist is probably hanging out in the back of the seedier tavern in town. If there's one, it's just if there's one tavern that's the back, it's if it's there's a seedier one, it's the back of that one. Um, Actively scamming people out of their money.
Okay. Hey, very good. And so, in this scenario, sorry, one more time. How do you say it?
Wolmist, Wolmist.
Wolnest. Okay, thank you. Wolnest is in the tavern in the city. There is only one, so lots of different characters come into this place to have a drink for whatever reason this may be. And Wolnest finds this very opportune because if there's people to swindle, then we can try our hand at any different number of types of people. And so you right now are encountering somebody who has sat down next to you and is being really strangely forward with how they're talking to you. They're pretending like they might know you, and so they're sitting there being like, "Hello, how are you this fine day?"
Oh, hey, buddy. What's up?
Well, I'm just I'm sitting down here because I've just gone on my lunch at down at the docks, and I just thought I'd have a beer, and I wanted to hang out with somebody cool. You seem pretty cool.
Don't I know you from somewhere? Mm. And I'm gonna try to persuade him that maybe we have met in the past somewhere on his journey. Try to read something that might give me an idea to other places he's been.
Go for it. Yeah.
So
I
let's
think
do an insight. Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead for sure.
Okay, it's gonna be a 22.
Yes, that is plenty high, and you do not know this person. He is just an extremely friendly, just trying to make conversation. Although with an insight roll that high, it seems like he might be avoiding some other people, and he's actually happy to be talking to somebody who isn't the group that he is meant to be a part of right now.
All right, so I'm gonna notice that he is doing that, trying to sort of isolate himself from the other people, and try to just go see what like I don't know where his wallet is, where his coin purse is, real quick.
If you would roll me, actually, if you roll me a perception, I might be able to give you that information.
That's a steaming hot 4.
All right, yeah. It is hard to tell where this man keeps his coin purse. It is somewhere in the raggedy clothing that he keeps on, and it is also at this point you start to smell this man. A whole day on the docks will make you be a little salty if you catch my drift here. And so he continues to talk and ends up revealing that he is in fact avoiding his coworkers down at the docks because they just saw this huge uninvited ship come in and they're all grumpy and stuff, but I'm not paying it any mind because I'm on my lunch. They have to deal with the ship. And just as he starts talking about this, you hear a raucous uproar from the direction of the docks where this man works. Um, and if you, there happens to be a window at the tavern, and if you look out it, you might be able to see what's happening down there.
I'm gonna take a minute to see how he responds.
Okay. Instantly, he gets up. He feels like it looks like he's like, oh my God, like I might be in trouble. And he rushes over to the window and looks out and he starts going, oh no.
Does he have any valuables on his person that I can see?
Now that he has gotten up, you can see that beneath his jacket is where his coin purse is attached to his belt.
I'm gonna take his opportune distraction, try to grab it.
Okay, a sleight of hand roll. We'll see if you can do that.
It's gonna be a 15.
Cool. That is indeed enough while he is distracted, and you take his coin purse. Um, do you rifle through it now, or do you want to see its contents later?
No, I'm gonna stuff that away for later.
Stuff the way it is, for sure. He none the wiser is looking out the window like, oh no, I gotta get back down there, and he leaves his half drank beer at the counter and rushes out the door.
All right. Um, I'm gonna see if there's anyone else. Are other people leaving?
Other people are looking out the window and they're kind of like, what is he yelling about? I don't really get it.
Are there any other easy pickings?
um, for the time being, it's regular bar patrons. I'm sure you could find um, uh, some loot off of these fine folks. But for the time being, I'm actually going to transition to Dalen, who you are also in the city on a regular old day. What might Dalen be doing?
So Dalen doesn't come into the city often. He mostly lives, in the woods. So he would probably be there picking up some kind of supply that can't be easily replaced. Perhaps, like ironware, like some kind of cooking thing, or just herbs. And just herbs from far away.
Yeah.
Um, you can find herbs in the woods. Um, and sort of not staying there long, but probably taking the opportunity to also just sort of, you know, pick up some kind of prepared meal that isn't often available.
Indeed. And what a great time to be in town for a prepared meal, as the inn has a wonderful chef traveling through town. This chef actually travels through many towns to show off his abilities of cooking. And so, what a incredible happenstance that Dalen happens to come into the inn today. Um, his signature stew recipe is hot and in a massive vat, and he's in the middle of the room actually bragging about such things. He goes, "Hey, listen, like you may have eaten stew before, but I promise you, this is quite the delicious piece. I'll pour you a first bowl for free, and I'm sure you'll be back for another. Would you like one?"
I would, yes. I heard people actually talking about you in Sorry, I heard people talking about your stew actually when I was passing through Stillwater, but I missed you by I think 4 days. So I would be very happy to have the opportunity now.
I'm so glad that you have been curious this whole time, and that you had a second opportunity. It must be some sort of fate. But here, my dear, have, and he pours you a bowl straight up to the brim, like you have to carry it like very precariously back to your table. Um, and he wishes you well, and then starts attending to another customer.
Hmm. All right. So I tick sort of tuck into my stew.
For sure. And as you do, it is very delicious. Some people who are braggadocious may be overinflating themselves, but not in this scenario. This is a very, very tasty stew, and you're enjoying yourself. And as you're about to, relax into the lunch that you're having before you start traveling back to where you reside, um, you notice, since the inn's door is open, you notice a couple of people, frankly, sprinting away from the from the dock area. There's a dock down towards the water where ships come in to make trade and all that, and some people are trying to get away from there as quickly as possible. And some of the other patrons of the inn get up and look out the door to see what what could be happening. down there, and some of them are kind of like squinting, being like, "What is going on?" And some other ones look downright shocked, of like, "Oh my goodness, this is terrible." At the sight of this, what would you do?
I will myself go and see if I can spot what it is that's frightening them.
For sure. As you walk out the door, the dock is in plain sight and happens to be a very clear day. So if you make a perception check, I might give you more details there.
Okay. Sorry. Let's see. My bonus to that is +7. So that comes to 19.
Okay. That is plenty enough on this bright, clear day. Um, there is a lot of people sprinting away from the dock, actually. It looks like the workers that are down there bringing things on and off the ships have abandoned whatever they were carrying and are running and running away because one of the containers seems to have burst open with some sort of substance that is corroding and swallowing some of the workers completely whole. And obviously, this is a terrifying scenario. So anybody who managed to outrun the whatever goo this is has tried to get as much distance from it as they could.
Can I make a knowledge check to try and identify the nature of it?
Sure.
Nature, preferably, but whatever's appropriate.
Yeah, nature you could do, and if you happen to be quite scholarly, a history check would also help.
Okay. Nature will get me to 17.
Okay. Yeah, that's plenty. You of many travels and somebody who is a worldly fellow notice this as a gray ooze, a very massive one, as it were. Normally, a gray ooze can be imposing to a single person, but typically a whole dock's worth of people could fend one off. But this one is very much more massive than what you've read about and seen in your travels.
Do I remember anything about the origin of gray ooze?
Um, I'm sure you might. I don't know the origin of
Okay,
gray.
never mind. I believe if I'm recalling correctly, at some point, probably in a prior edition, they were made from people.
I see. Yes, for sure, for sure. Um, well, that would be convenient if that were to be the thing, but more on that later. Um, as with this scene happening, what do you do?
Um, how big is it exactly?
It is formidable. If you were to stack maybe um, six normal sized like humanoid creatures on top of each other, that's about how tall it is.
Okay. Um, hmm. I think I will look around to see if there is any source of actual resistance against it, or if everyone is just doing their best to flee, and act accordingly.
Yes, sure. So there are some guards who have now gotten to the dock that are not only fighting the ooze, but there are two humanoid-looking folks dressed in these long, draping cloaks that seem to be guiding the ooze itself. They're guiding the monstrosity going forth, and the guards, while they are trying to deal with the ooze, are mostly trying to get around to what seem to be its wranglers at this point.
Okay. Um, can I make a stealth check to try to get sort of within range of them undetected?
Certainly, yes.
Okay. Uh, 10, that is 24.
Plenty enough for sure. And so, what you're able to do is sneak through the brush that peppers the city, and once you get down to the docks, there's plenty of containers and things that have just been abandoned because of the scene, and you use them for cover so that you can get nice and close to. Was it the Wranglers that you're trying to get close to?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you are within you're within 30 feet of them now. Um and that's wonderful, but I'm going to transition really quick. Amity, what are you doing in the city today?
What I normally do every day, which is to give motivational speeches to anybody who does definitely not want to listen to me.
Indeed.
Preferably outside, because I like the sunshine.
Hmm. And what a sunny, great day it is. In the middle of the city, there is a lovely fountain that lots of people like to hang out around and, meet up and make chat, all that stuff. Um, it's usually a wonderful meeting place for when folks are between work shifts and they can say hi to each other. And since, as we learned from Woolmith's interaction, that it is around lunch, there are plenty of people walking around, and therefore plenty of people who may need a motivational speech. Is there anybody in the crowd that you might pick to? I hesitate to say target, but you might pick to speak to. A perception check will tell you of any notable characters.
Yeah, so I rolled a 14.
Cool. Yep, that's good. And there is a young one from the mayoral family walking about the streets right now. It's not any of the elders that actually hold much political power, but a teenager amongst their family who is young enough where they don't hold a lot of sway in political decisions, but they are old enough to have a personality, and that is something that a parent or anybody might listen to. They happen to be walking past you.
You there. Hey, you're looking pretty down. Can I lend you an ear? Would you like me to listen to any of your problems? Would you like me to brighten your day a bit today?
Oh, geez, yeah, I really would like to. I really would actually. I've actually been having quite a bad morning. Yes.
Sounds terrible on such a sunny day. Why don't you tell me more about it?
Yeah, geez. Well, I mean, I wanted to go swimming today, but my mom told me that if I go down to the docks, that I'd be disrupting the workers again, and that I shouldn't do that, and that I'm not like I'm old enough to know better, and I'm just so frustrated because I really want to go swimming, and my mom won't let me right now.
Does it have to be at the docks?
Well, I mean, there's no other good jumping spots. Everywhere else you can just swim, but like I can jump off the docks and I like to dive and splash and do all that. And you can't do that anywhere else. Oh, I mean, unless you go to the cliffs, but if I were to go there, mom would never let me go swimming again.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You said there was a fountain here?
Yes, you're standing right
Yeah.
by it.
Yeah. Like, well, what's stopping you from jumping into this fountain right now? Come on, I'll go with you.
Oh, really, huh? Well, that would be quite the spectacle. I don't know. You can make
Sometimes,
a
sometimes all you need is just to let yourself go.
you can make a persuasion check to see if that will work with them.
I rolled the 15.
A 15 is indeed good enough. The young one standing before you looks to you, looks around, and says, "Well, to heck with it then. Let's jump in." And they take off their overgarment to reveal undergarments, and they without hesitating jump straight in, and they start making a big old mess.
Being a gnome, I jump in. I take off at least some of my heavier stuff and I jump in too. And I say, see, you don't need to have these large plans. Sometimes you just need to seize the moment.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, I feel so good for doing. Oh my gosh, look at this! And they start like whirling around with their arms out, and they just look like they're truly elated right now. It's a very happy time. Um, and you even start to draw a crowd, some of which scoff at my what childish things to do, and while others cheer you on, being like, "Yes, what you're clearly having a wonderful time, and I'm happy for you." Uh, yeah,
Can I try to persuade the crowd to join us?
yes, you can.
That's an 18.
That's quite high. You that is high enough to have persuaded some people to jump in. Others are a bit nervous, like, oh, I don't know, like that's the town fountain. I'm not sure I should be playing in that. And others are like, well, if they're doing it, then so should I. And so they'll, in similar moves, uh, disrobe and jump on in. And now you actually have quite a crowded fountain right now with a lot of splashing about. But it's a joyous time. The folks are quite happy to be doing something different than the humdrum day to day. And while you are having this lovely, lovely time, uh, interestingly, you between people laughing and just being elated, see a couple people sprint past you. It looks like they came from the docks, and they run up the hill, and some go to their respective houses, while others flee straight into the woods behind the town, um, which is an odd sight to see. Of course, a perception check might reveal what that would be.
I got a 6.
A 6 is not quite good enough in this crowd to really know what's going on. And so all you are aware of is that something in the direction of the docks is causing an emergency, which you've seen before because you're in the town. And, it's sometimes workers get hurt and they have to rush for first aid. And so you figure it might be something like that for the time being.
Well, I did my job here, and this is ruining all the fun. So yeah, I get out, I get my stuff on, and I head over to see what's going on
Okay.
to get closer.
As you walk down to the docks, it does become more apparent what's going on. Yes, it is an emergency, but not one like you typically see. This emergency is one that's having the guard called, and all the workers are fleeing. And at this point, because it's been a little bit, you see a towering, massive thing that looks like a gelatinous gray living whatever it might be.
Okay. Can I roll to see if is there anybody around me that is slightly out of the way that might need, medical attention?
I Yes, that would be another perception check.
Mm, That's a 2.
Okay, yeah. Um, at the sight of the massive creature question mark you're thinking about right now, is that a creature technically? At the sight of this thing, you are slightly dumbfounded, like, oh my gosh, like I've never seen anything like this in town. Wow! And so it's hard to pay attention to anybody that might need help at the moment.
Can I roll insight to like figure out what it is?
You can roll insight on a particular person to
Okay.
see what their motive might be for a thing. If you wanted to know what it was, I'd recommend either nature or history, um, or yeah,
Oh,
I'd recommend either of those two for sure.
yeah, I'll do nature.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Oh, the roll is 12.
Okay, cool. That's enough for you to wager that this is a creature that is usually summoned out of some kind of horrible magic. And therefore, it's not like, it's just something you might find in the wild unless you're around people that do that sort of magic. Um, and you have read about gray oozes before. And so you're sort of confident that this is what it is, like just based on what you know and observation. You're not like perfectly sure because like crazier things have happened. But you're like pretty well sure this is a gray ooze, just of massive proportions.
Okay. Um, so can I get to a spot where I feel like I relatively would not be seen to keep an eye on the situation?
You can roll for stealth for that, yes.
Yeah. That would be an 11.
Okay. Because of the ample cover that is in the area, meaning all the containers that the workers have abandoned, you are indeed able to find a place to duck behind where the workers have left behind, the guards aren't paying attention to, and that Dalen is also not occupying. So you two are currently hidden from each other, as well as the massive gray ooze. And Dalen knows that there is also two wranglers for the ooze itself in the area. Um, and with that, I'd like to transition. Slim, what are you doing in the city today?
Well, I generally come around just to kind of, fix up my armor, get my weapons all in order. Traveling around as I do, it's kind of important to keep everything in check. So more
Yeah,
like than not, I'm looking around for, blacksmiths, anything in the area that I can stop by and, see how much it might cost to fix up my equipment, as I said.
sure. Yeah. And there is indeed a smith in town. Um, he has his shop far off to the west side of town, pretty much away from everybody else, and the furthest he could possibly be from the actual like living settlements where people have their houses. The soot gets in the air, and that's not very pleasant. So it was a nice way to, or a nice place for him to make his shop. Um, as you approach him, you see a just an old grizzled man, or at least that's what he appears to be. Blacksmithing work takes a toll on the body. Um, and he's hammering away at what appears to be a sword. You see many weapons and armaments on his on the various racks that he keeps outside. These all appear to be pieces he's working on. And as you approach him, he looks up and he goes, "Ah, Slim, it's been a while since I've seen you. Welcome back."
I had to go traveling out quite a ways. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, oh, very good, very good. I assume you're here for just a check up, a fix up, that sort of thing. Yes.
Yeah, I got a few notches in my sword need to be cleared out, I probably need to replace it actually at this point.
Oh, well, if you're in the market for such a things, then please. He puts down the project he's working on. And he goes, "Come on inside. I have a thing to show you."
Ah, perfect. Thanks.
And so as you walk in, he again, just like the wall is cascading with armaments, whether it be sword or armor. And he brings you all the way to the back of the shop where his little table is, where he settles up with people on monetary things. And mounted on the wall in back of him is, by shape it looks like a normal sword, but the metal itself is this strange orange amber color. And he takes it down and he says, "At the slightest touch," and he just like boops the tip of it with his finger. Um, it can cause bleeding, and indeed, the tip of his finger is like bleeding pretty hard. And so it he presents this as, "This is my best work to date. I happened to find a strange stone that uh, I swear fell out of the sky. It was not there one day, and then it was, and I mixed it with my steel, and I felt that something was happening, and so I've made this. So because it came from high above, I call it my moon sword. And you being such a lovely and regular customer, I figured if anybody should be bringing it to battle, as you clearly are still active, you should have it."
Oh, how much?
Well, to the ordinary person, I'd say about 2,000 gold, but for you, how does about 500 say?
Let me check my stores real quick. And the Slim's an orc, so like she pulls out her bag and like it's filled to the brim with a bunch of other things, and she starts counting out the coins. And she's like, "I'm about 100 short on that, unfortunately.
Hmm, I see. Well,
Maybe maybe later, but I can pick up a regular short sword for now.
Slim,
Unless, can I potentially see if I can convince him to go down a little bit?
yes. Yeah, a persuasion would help with that.
Awesome. That would be I actually have to do the adding real quick here.
Mhm.
That's 17.
Okay. Um, that's enough for him to be like, well, I'll tell you what, Slim. I know you come back often, and I know you're always good for your word. I'll do it for the 400, but only if you promise the next time you're back, you'll give me the extra 100. Is
Of
that okay?
course. Of course.
All right. Well, then, please, this moon sword is yours. Take it. And so, Taylor, with this in your inventory now, um, excuse me, you will treat it as a regular short sword in every way, except that it is a +6 to hit. It is a +6 to hit and to damage, with the caveat that every time you use it, it de-sharpens a little bit, and so
Okay.
it'll start at a 6, and then after the first hit, it goes to a 5, and then
Okay.
after the next hit, it goes to a 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on, and it stops at 0 when it becomes a regular short sword again. So
Okay.
essentially, for 6 hits, you have some cool advantages there.
Heck yeah. I'm down for that.
Yep. Just make sure you mark that in your inventory. Um, and the blacksmith is he having seen you before and starts regaling you with all of the tales of weapons that he's made that have fought in famous battles. And it's easy to indulge in these things. It's also easy to tune them out. It all depends on what you're feeling on a given day and how much you want to listen to an old man tell the same stories over and over again.
I probably humor him for a bit. Being the loyal customer that I am, I don't want to seem like I'm in a rush to go elsewhere, and especially since I came to specifically seek him out, that makes sense to me. But I do imagine that there is a point where I'm like, all right, I gotta go check in on the rest of the town, maybe stop up at the bar uh at the local tavern and get myself probably not a drink considering everything, but maybe I can find some more contract work and get that 100 gold to you.
Mm. Well, I wish you luck, and like always, stay well, not safe, but stay alive, please.
Of
And
course.
I'll see you when you get back. Good.
Sounds good.
And so Slim heads over to the tavern. Woolmist, you notice somebody new walk into the tavern. Uh, and Slim, you see somebody at the back, kind of leaning against the wall, holding a coin purse that they seem really happy to have. And that's about all the info you can glean from that. But you are indeed in the tavern now.
Perfect.
Is there anything you'd like to do while you're here? Or
I think I'm gonna just lean against the wall and watch things for a little bit.
cool. And so you do. And while you're doing so, you hear shouting and quick footsteps. And Wilmus, you noticed this too, since you've observed this
Mhm.
already. But more and more people just seem to be fleeing from down towards the dock area. And Slim, since you're just kind of chilling against the wall, you can just look straight out the window, and a perception check might tell you more about the scenario.
Alrighty. That is a 21.
21 is plenty good. And you see down at the dock, fleeing workers, a massive gray ooze. You know what this is because you go to battle regularly enough where you're just like, oh, I've seen that thing before. Um, and So fleeing dock workers, a gray ooze, guardsmen trying their best. And with that roll of 21, you said?
Yeah.
With that roll of 21, you're able to see you're able to see one. There's technically two, but you can see one of the cloaked wranglers of the ooze itself.
I think I'm gonna go check out and see what's going on because I don't know. If anything's going awry, maybe I can recoup that money I lost a little bit faster.
Sure, yeah. You arrive down at the docks, and it is a chaotic scenario. Um, what would you like to do now that you're here?
I'm gonna like, is there anybody nearby that isn't like entirely losing their mind that I can potentially like stop for a second and be like, What happened?
There's guardsmen there, and they're fighting, but like some of them are just like spear at the ready, like I'm gonna do what I can when I can do it.
Hmm. So I think I'm gonna walk up to one of the ones that's like waiting, but doesn't like can't really find a way in, and just be like, "What happened?"
Mm-hmm. The guard goes, "They up there, they the box opened and it's spilled out and it's eaten 5 men and we're trying to stop it."
Could you use a hand?
Of course, please, yes.
All right, and I'll probably like look to see if there's a place where I can potentially jump in and see what can be done.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. Um,
Mhm.
I'm gonna transition real quick because Wolmist, you are still at the tavern. Are you content to be chilling here, or
No, finally seeing somebody walk in, look out the window, and immediately leave. That has demonstrated to me that clearly what's going on out there is more interesting and potentially more profitable and more full of chaos than this dump. So I will make my way outside.
and so you do. As you walk out, you see workers fleeing, guardsmen going down to the docks. Would you like to make a perception check for potentially anything else?
Absolutely. 22.
Plenty enough. You see the guardsmen, the gray ooze, and both of the wranglers that are sending this thing onto the people. Um, as and um, and also the same person that you saw come in and back out. You see Slim yell to one of the guards and be like, "Oh, okay, great," and you don't quite hear what their interaction was, but you do hear that an interaction was had.
All
And
right. Slim versus guards. Who looks more competent?
Slim, without a doubt, for sure.
Okay. I will slowly start to follow Slim from somewhat of a distance.
Okay, cool. Are you just doing that, or would you like to stealthily do that?
I'm not trying to hide. I'm just trying to, wherever they're going is probably more interesting
Cool. Yeah, for sure.
and more full of chaos than this dump.
Yes, that much is certain at the moment, for sure. Um, okay, Dalen, you have been hidden for a little bit and are indeed within 30 feet of the wranglers of the ooze right now.
Mhm. So since I've been watching them, have I been able to determine anything about how they're controlling it?
Um, it's hard to say because from your vantage point right now, the ooze itself looks like an autonomous creature.
Mhm.
Um, but because you're so close to these folks now, and because you're a traveler of worldly, knowledge, you are pretty sure that these two are warlocks. And so, there might be some magic that they've imbued it with, um, from earlier, but it looks like right now they're just kind of letting it do its thing.
Mhm. Okay. Um, right. So they're not actively engaged in controlling it.
Correct. Yes. In fact, they look to be pretty much just idly watching it.
Okay. Um, I will make a note of their appearance to be sure that I'll recognize them.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, should we attack the use? How do people feel?
I
Was that a
mean,
question, buddy? Yeah, go for it.
It's kind of a meta question for the party, yeah.
if somebody goes for the ooze, Woolmist would probably take a second hit at it. Mm.
All right. Then I will. Sorry, I'm just realizing. I mean, if I'm right next to the warlocks, then I probably don't necessarily. If I'm not attacking them, then I don't necessarily actually want to be close to them.
Mm,
Since then, that will enable. So I think I will move a little further distance away from them.
fair enough.
So I don't know if anyone acts in the intervening time.
Yeah. Well, so Amity, you are also nice and hidden. What would you like to do?
Yeah, I want to um can I see is Dalin apparent to me or can I roll for uh can I roll to see if I see him move out of the way?
Dalen, if you roll stealth again, then you will avoid that. But if you decide to not, then Amity will see you shuffling about.
Uh, I mean, I think logically I am trying to remain stealthy so the warlocks don't notice me. So I will roll stealth.
So you do then. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I rolled a two. So that comes to uh, sorry, eight. So
I see.
I assume everyone relevant can notice me.
Correct. Yes. So Amity, you do indeed notice that Dalen gets up from his vantage point and tries to sneak away, but also the warlocks do. And they look to you and they go, "Hey, that guy's trying to get close." Um, and Now for the fun part. So, oh goody. One of the warlocks, the one that was closer to you, Dalen, tries to attack you, but they rolled a 5. So I assume that that does not hit you, correct?
Actually, through staggering effort, I have managed to drop my AC. No, that misses.
Okay.
I cannot think of a mechanical way to make that possible.
That's incredible. Oh my god. So okay, a uh,
One
a,
moment.
bol- a bolt of magic flies by you and goes straight into the water, Dalen. But indeed does miss you. Um, Slim, you also see this from down at your vantage point. Um, and then which means Woolmist, you also do. The only person that is undetectable at the moment is Amity.
You can. Wait.
Um, okay. Am I within 90 feet of this thing?
Within 90?
90, yes.
Um, you are more like probably closer to like 150 away.
All right, I'm gonna start moving towards this situation until I am approximately 90 feet from it.
Sure. Yep. And because we're not in initiative yet, I can just say that you are indeed there. So you
Mm-hmm.
shuffle your way into the docks a bit more, dodging past debris and excuse me, and rogue containers and things like that. So now you are within 90 feet.
Now I'm within 90 feet of it, and at this point, I can see the ooze. And I saw, did I see its controllers? I forget if that's something that's known to me at this
Yeah,
point in time.
that is known.
Okay. Are they within? I'm trying to cast sleep on the controllers. Is there a way I can set that up appropriately geometrically?
Is sleep a concentration?
Sleep is not concentration. It's a 20-foot sphere.
What's a
It's a 20-foot sphere. And I want to try to put the warlocks and the ooze and as few other people as possible
Okay. So
in that orb.
yep. So right now you would indeed be able to contain the ooze and the warlocks, but you would also get Dalen at this moment.
I don't know Dalen at this moment.
Uh,
Yep.
you don't you get to pick whether someone is targeted by sleep?
No,
Huh.
not in Legacy Sleep. It does that stupid thing with you roll a bunch of d8s and then it's by hit points. The spell itself, so this spell sends creatures into a magical slumber. Roll 5d8. The total is how many hit points of creature this spell can affect. Creatures within 20 feet of a point you choose within range are affected in ascending order of their current hit points. Starting with the creature that has the lowest hit points, each creature
Oh,
affected by the spell falls unconscious until the spell ends.
right. You can probably see, however, that I'm an elf.
Yes.
And thus
Um,
affected by sleep.
yes. Well, regardless of that evaluation, I don't know you. I'm just trying to minimize the amount of people that are not warlock or that are not actively involved with controlling the ooze. So unfortunately, at this point, you are acceptable collateral.
And so it is.
All right. So,
Is there a save for sleep or?
I don't believe so. Yeah, there is no save for it. Legacy sleep is strange.
Interesting. So then, do you have to roll a certain amount, or does it just happen?
So I have to roll 5d8, and then starting with the amount of creatures, starting with the lowest hit points in the area, you guys basically have to use the amount of hit points for sleep. So if it had like 6 hit points, then if the lowest creature has 6 hit points, then 6 of the hit points are used up for sleep, and then we keep going until like the creature's HP has absorbed all of the sleep damage.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough.
Um, so let's roll 5d8.
Let's do it.
And that total comes to 24.
Okay. And then I'm sorry. So am I calculating which creature has the lowest HP for you, right?
So whatever creature has the lowest HP will start with that. And then if there's hit points left over after that creature, it'll go to the next creature.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, oh, I see how it works. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Dalen, what is your HP?
38, but I'm also immune to sleep.
Right. Thank you for
And
reminding
it
me.
ignores creatures that are immune to being charmed or who are already unconscious.
I see. Okay. And so because elves don't sleep, this spell just completely overlooks Dalen. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Cool. So in that case, it would be one of the two warlocks. And what was your total again?
24.
24. Okay. Cool. Um, well, this warlock has, excuse me, 28. So they will all be used up on this one. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Creature's hit point must be equal to. Okay, so nothing happens basically.
Oh, does it have to eat up all of
It
them?
has to eat up all of them, so nothing happens.
Ah, unfortunate. Okay. A
Uh,
valiant.
Nothing happens except I expend a spell slot.
Lovely. That's how it goes sometimes. Okay. Since we are still not in initiative, Amity, are you still observing or are you joining the action?
I am joining the action. I'm gonna go ahead and expel a spell slot to cast Shield of Faith on myself.
Mhm.
And so, hold on. Sorry, I'm using D&D Beyond and it's not.
That's okay. Looking things up is half of D&D. So, yeah.
Hmm. You get plus 2 AC for the duration,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
but it's a concentration effect.
Yeah. And I do that as I'm jumping out and yelling at everybody that they're ruining the vibe.
You guys are killing the vibe. Ah!
And I also like obviously unsheath my longsword.
Indeed. Good then. So with all four of you here now, I think it is a comfortable time where we can roll initiative. And I am going to roll all of the guards as one character, and then I'll do the ooze and then the two warlocks as individuals.
Hmm.
And if everybody could put their numbers that they get into the chat, that would be helpful.
No, memorize everything I say.
I'm bad at that. Okay, very good. Very, very good. Thank you all.
We're even doing it in order so far.
Wow. Okay. Very
Damn it,
good.
ooze.
So yeah, the ooze ruined it, didn't it? Um,
Actually, the warlocks ruined it first.
yeah, that's true. They went out of order. Too bad. Um, well, it looks like Dalen, you are up first.
Okay. The warlocks they're standing, so the ooze is pretty big. Are the warlocks standing close to it?
Yes, they are effectively right behind it.
Okay. Um, then I will say, I don't know what impelled them to you to unleash a monster on the city, but uh, I think that Ereval has a destination in mind for you, and his light will show you the way. And
Mm.
then I cast Fireball.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, go ahead and roll me. I don't think fireball's not one I can defend against, right? So you can just roll me.
They get a dex save.
Oh, they do. Okay,
Mhm. Uh, and the DC of that is 15.
cool. They got a 12, so that is gonna hit him.
Okay, that's 8d6 for 29 fire damage.
Okay. And because I'm putting the warlocks together as one character, I'm gonna say actually no, that doesn't make sense. Okay. So considering that it does hit and that it does all that damage, one of them drops dead of being burnt in the face for significant.
Oh, right. Yeah, you said that. Okay, successfully guided.
Yep,
Um,
dude, for sure. And as it drops to the ground, or as he drops to the ground, um, you notice the ooze. The ooze doesn't have a face, but it almost looks like it looked back at what just happened for a second. Dalen, do you have any other moves, or are you going to call it there?
am I approximately 30 feet from them?
Yes.
Okay, I think I'm comfortable there.
Okay, cool. And so too you shall. In that case, I believe the ooze itself is next. Um, and so it is going to, because it was actually surprised by Amity jumping out, it's going to retaliate pretty hard in that sense. And we've got, does a 15 hit you,
Me?
Me?
Amity?
Amy? Does a 15 hit me? No.
It does not. Okay, cool. In that case, it took a big old swing with one of its uh, fluid limbs, but it steps off its whatever balance a gelatinous creature like this might have and misses you. Um, and that is all it can do, which means that next in the order is Slim.
All right, I am going to trying to think about what would be best. Even though I've been sitting here thinking about it since the start of this, I'm gonna go up to the I'm gonna go after the warlocks because it seems like they're already kind of being attacked, and I'm going to get close enough to attack them.
Hmm?
Uh, Meaning I'm gonna get close enough to one that is to me. Um, just to double check, has either of them gotten any damage so far?
One of them has died, thanks to Dale.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wanted to triple check and make sure I'd heard that correctly. My headset cut out a little bit at that. So, perfect. I'm going to go over to the one that's obviously not dead.
Mhm.
And I'm going to attack him.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and roll to hit.
Perfect.
Don't forget you've got that moon sword.
Yes, I do have that listed here. Okay, that is a 20.
Okay, very cool. Um, and dirty or critical?
Dirty.
Okay, cool. That's still plenty enough to hit.
Yep.
So go ahead and roll the damage.
Perfect. Okay, that is going to be 5 damage for that one. Or
Um,
not. Sorry, not 5. 11. Misspoke.
Yep, good. Okay, fantastic.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, you get a nice old cleave into his shoulder. Um, and much like your blacksmith friend bragged about, it indeed causes quite a bit of bleeding. Um, and the warlock is obviously not too happy with this scenario, but nonetheless, you have landed quite a good hit, though he is still alive.
Perfect. I'm going to attack him again.
Okay, so you will then. Go ahead and roll.
Alrighty, and that's an 18.
Okay, cool. And don't forget, every time you use the moon sword, it drops 1 advantage point.
Yep.
So this time it's a +5, but 18 certainly still hits. So go ahead and roll damage.
12.
Okay. Very good. Another great cleave, this time into literally just the opposite side on his other arm. And once again, lots of gory bleeding happening. And this guy is unhappy. It seems like he is also having a hard time keeping his wits about him, though he is still standing.
Okay. I think that is my turn because I don't really have much else to do aside from move, and I don't really feel like I need to. So,
Fair enough. Okay. Very good then. Woolmist, I believe it is your turn.
Okay, so I'm currently still 90 feet away from that, so I'm not gonna be able to get there quite as fast as I'd like to. But what I will do is I will move 60 feet, sorry, 25 because I'm a gnome, so I will move 50 feet towards it. I have a bonus utilizing my bonus action dash.
Hmm?
And then I am going to use magic missile. And I'm gonna dump one of the bolts into the warlock that's still alive,
Hmm?
right? And
Yep.
then the other two into the ooze.
Cool. So you shall.
So first bolt is gonna be a 4 into the warlock.
Is that to hit or for damage?
That's to damage. It's magic missile. It hits automatically.
Yes, indeed, for sure. I think that's what I was remembering when I was recalling fireball earlier. But okay,
Yes.
4 damage, very good. Um, and into the warlock, it is still alive.
Unfortunate. But I did say I'd put the other two into the ooze, and I believe I have to make those at the same time, and those are 2 5s into the ooze.
Okay, for sure. As the missiles come careening down into the ooze, it gets
Force
hit.
if that matters.
Thank you. Yeah, it gets hit, and it you can see because of its fluid nature, where the impacts happen, it bursts little holes in its person, if you can call it that. Um, and it once again, it does not have a face, but it almost looks like it whirls around to see what the heck just struck it like that.
Okay. And I end my turn.
Okie doke then. In that case, Amity, it is your turn.
So how far away from the ooze am I?
From the ooze, parts of it are within 30 feet. It's like center is more like 60, but some of its tendrils get within 30 feet of you.
And how far away am I from the warlock?
Oh, definitely within 30 feet.
Okay. I am gonna go move to attack the warlock. I'm gonna use one of my channel divinity slots to imbue my weapon.
Hmm?
Um, so let me. Okay, does a 13 hit? Or sorry, does a 17 hit?
17 definitely hits for sure.
Okay. So that would be 7 damage, slashing damage.
Cool. Um, Due to the intense slashing that this warlock has already taken, along now with your slashing, the amount of blood and missile strikes that have poured in and out of his body is enough to make him finally collapse. That warlock is dead.
Um,
Um,
and
yeah, go ahead.
Teamwork
in
makes the
my
dream work.
yep, I end my turn.
Cool. Okay, great. Um, well, the warlocks would have been next, but they're both dead. So now it's on to the guards, and they go to attack the ooze, and in a bit of a strange sight. Again, this creature is strange. It does not have facial features. It does not express anything that a humanoid might understand. Although it is a pretty universal feeling when, or a pretty universal realization when you can recognize that something is fleeing. And as it turns out, as the guards try to go to attack the ooze, now that both warlocks are dead, it's almost like it's trying to turn around. And it tries to contort itself back into the box that it seems to have come out of in the first place, um, which is this box is between the warlocks on the ship that they sailed in on, and it looks like the ooze is trying to run back to it. And while it is ascending the steps to try and get onto the ship again, it seems to kind of lose steam, and parts of it fall into the water, dissipate, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller until it tries to slink back into the box, and it ends up just melting through the floorboards.
Oh, buddy.
Mm-hmm. So, needless to say, it is also, um, uh, well, whatever is the closest thing to dead that an ooze can be.
Is there any iconography on the warlocks or the boat or anything I can see?
Great,
Uh,
great question. Um, so, yes, there is. On the box that the ooze came out of is a simple symbol. It is just a circle that contains an upside down triangle. That's all you can see. But
And
it is
does
etched.
that mean anything to me?
Maybe with a history roll, it might.
With a history, cool, cool. 11.
11. Um, this is a drawing that has some sort of cultish significance, but you can't recall quite what for.
Hmm. I have I'm a touch better at Arcana. Would that have helped?
You can still try that.
Okay. Do you want me to, yeah, we'll do it. Now that I know it's Arcana.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll take that 18.
Yeah, we'll take that 18 for sure. Um, this belongs to the cult of a very much more powerful warlock than these two that you just faced off with. And that warlock, from just like being knowledgeable, is called Gensh. G. I can talk. Gensh. Gensh.
Gensh.
And this warlock to be of a patron of the undead, and very much a lich at this point as well, because of all of their communing with such things. So this is concerning to see, obviously, of one of his sigils coming to this quaint little city.
Is the boat doing anything in response?
Nope, the boat is tied up like a regular old vessel and not going anywhere.
I would like to go to the boat.
Yeah, by all means, go right ahead. Everybody also make a perception check right now.
Nat one.
Sick.
8.
Hey, I see a boat. We see a boat.
Go.
We
Dude,
see a boat.
I think I failed to see a boat.
13.
Sorry,
No,
I
you saw
tried
something on
to
the
sleep
ground.
you earlier. Did you see the boat?
You talking? They,
What?
Dale, uh,
Oh, that boat. Wait, are we at the docks?
oh
It's
yeah,
bilge muck. Is there anything else?
I know, right?
There's a market.
There were some people jumping in the fountain earlier. That was pretty cool.
That was me. I did that
Why?
because it was fun.
Chaos.
No joy.
Oh.
Who rolled above a 12?
It was me. I rolled a 13.
Okay, cool. Slim, you seem to be the only one to notice that after all of the chaos has been managed, from amongst the guards walks forth a half orc dressed in full paladin gear, slowly sauntering up to the boat as well.
I'm gonna walk towards him.
Okay.
Them?
I'm already
Gender
on the
unclear.
boat.
Oh.
Hell yeah. So we'll address that in a minute. Let's address the folks who are on the boat. So Wolmist, you're on the boat. There is you're on the what is it on the poop deck as it were, and you're able to see all the lovely fixins that this place has. It's nothing special, but there is also a door that goes below deck. It leads immediately to a staircase that goes down.
Oh yeah, we're going below deck immediately. There's chaos, and this is a powerful warlock's boat or boat he contracted, and there's gotta be some cool stuff here.
Cool. Yeah.
I like stealing. I'm a rogue.
I couldn't tell. Oh my gosh.
Do you want to hear my edgy backstory? No.
Unironically, yes. Maybe after we're done recording. um, but yeah, no. So you go below deck, and it's strange down here. It's not quite giving the threatening aura of like this is a servant of the powerful Gensh to do his ugly deeds. Instead, it feels more like two edgy fanboys that have decorated a boat with their favorite lich, and decided to go cause some havoc in that spirit.
I've entered a metalhead teenager's bedroom.
Yes, essentially, yes.
Okay.
I have to say, I was expecting more gravitas.
Uh, yeah. And
This is
anything of note
depressing.
down here?
And investigate will tell you if there's anything of note to have down there.
20.
Nice. Is that a critical?
No.
Okay, that's okay. Um, so there is quite a bit of interesting stuff down here. First off, the all of the decorations, as edgy as they are made out of some pretty fine materials. So like you feel the flag that has the same sigil. It's a black flag with the red circle and triangle in the middle. And you feel it, and it's made of silk. It's real silk. So like this is not just like
And it's mine now.
indeed, yes. There's nobody down here to tell you no, so you can indeed just take that without a sleight of hand.
Cool.
And you start to notice that like as edgy as all of this looks, it is actually kind of nice, which gives you the feeling that while these folks might be fanboys, they still might actually be associated with Gensh at the end of the day. Um, and so you see all the decorations and whatnot. They have some pretty crude martial weapons, though it seems apparent that they're much more fond of their magic, as there's not really much in the way of martial weapons that's worth taking down here. Um, but as you descend further and further into the boat, you start to get truly to the bottom of the boat, where if you were to be on the outside of the hull, you might even be below water at this point. But down here, you actually do find a chest at the back bottom of the boat.
I want to take a closer look at it.
Cool. It
If
is
I'm gonna manipulate it, and then I'm gonna cast Mage Hand to like try to manipulate it and open it. I'm not touching that with my person hands.
To
fair
pull
enough.
it out of the muck of the bilges.
Yes, quite for sure. Um, yep. So you attempt to jostle it and see if there's anything uh, worth being careful about, and the best that you can find is just that it's locked. It's not really. Um, it's not gonna like. From what you can tell, it's not gonna spring any traps, but it is locked.
Well, you'll never guess this. I'm proficient in thieves' tools.
Whoa, so good. Well, this is certainly a scenario where you might use them.
Yes. I am going to do that.
Mhm.
To attempt to open the chest, and that's gonna be a 19.
Okay, certainly enough for sure. So with your mage hand, you're able to tear apart this lock. That it's a lock, but you fiddled with it a little bit, and it just kind of popped open. So like that's cool. And
Hmm.
within the chest, you find a decent bit of gold. It is 100 gold in there, and also a rack of papers that seem to have some instructions on them. Um, and reading them, it reveals that these two were sent by a superior of theirs that isn't Gensh, but somebody who is above them in this, what you're finding out to be warlock order, who have sent them with the ooze with the instructions to um, let it run rampant, let it eat, and then re-wrangle it once it has consumed 50 people. It must come back with the 50 so that Gensh might harvest their souls and use it for the pot is what they call it. Just you don't know what the pot is, but that's what apparently that ooze was collecting for.
Got
And
that. I will
well,
take both of those and store them.
while that's happening, are the rest of our characters still outside the boat?
Dalen and Woolmist went below deck, I believe, and then
Hmm.
M and Slim, I believe you guys are outside.
Yeah.
Slim is in fact approaching the old half orc.
Yes. I'm following behind Slim.
Cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say that like I'm not making it hidden that I'm going over anywhere, so
Totally.
Okay. Is there anything else to do down here, or we want to flashback to?
Down here, there's nothing else really of note. You could the one last thing that you could potentially do is look at the living quarters that the two warlocks would have been in. So if you'd like to do that, you can.
I would like to do that, and then I will take anything that looks like it is of value that is not tied down and is not up and is not, large.
Sure,
Small items of value that are not tied down.
sure thing. Yeah. So
Um,
go ahead.
for my part, I'm going to, uh, I'm concerned by the noting, by the wording, because as far as I'm aware, it doesn't seem like a natural ability for them. The idea that gray oozes would consume souls. So I guess I'm looking around for any things of arcane significance that aren't just like Gensh's sigil, anything that is actually mechanically impactful, as far as achieving that kind of thing. Um,
Totally. Yep. Um, okay, well, we'll start with Wolmist. The So there's two different sleeping quarters. One of them, one each for each of the warlocks. And in the first one, it's actually quite a sorry sight. This person seems to have lived very minimally, and also with not a whole ton of hygiene. It is stinks to high heaven in this room, and it's really not pleasant to be there. It looks like there's not a lot worth taking here anyway. So I should give you the option. Would you like to continue to search here, or
Uh, Using the mage hand to move objects under 10 pounds. Yes.
fair enough? Yep. Like I said, there's not a lot. So you open the bed stand and you get the covers off of the bed to see if there's anything underneath there. And under the bed covers, you find his commoner clothes. Nothing really of note there, unless you want a smelly new pair of clothes. Uh,
No.
yeah, fair enough. And then in his desk, you find 5 gold and what looks to be his personal notebook.
I will take that and review it at a later time.
Okie doke, personal notebook in hand. Would you like to try the other bedroom?
Sure.
Okay. So you go inside and you find similar things. You find a set of commoner clothes. This one smelling much better and folded up and put onto the edge of the dresser. And then on the bedstand, you open that. And instead of a personal journal, you actually find a book of spells in here.
All right, I will take the spell book
Okay.
as well.
So you do. Do you tell Dalen that you have this?
I will alert Dalen of the personal notebook and the spell book. Those 5 gold are mine for my troubles.
Totally. Yep. It's a
That
good
is that is barely appropriate payment for the stinky bedroom.
indeed. Yeah. It's a crime that he made anybody deal with it besides himself.
Well, I mean, it kind of isn't his fault. Like, he didn't probably expect to die, but
Yeah.
Regretting the proficiency in perception by being
yeah.
close to it. Um, those
Yeah.
keen elven senses are not liking that. And I presumably went nowhere near it. If I have time, I will sort of quickly glance through the notebook and spellbook.
Okay. Yeah, you certainly do. And this is all going to happen while the folks outside are talking to the half orc. But within the notebook from the Smelly Man, you find that there's it's mostly letters about or letters to himself about how I've had a horrible life, but I think working for this Gensch fella is, gonna bring me some power, and finally people will listen to me and take me seriously. And then flipping ahead a few pages, it cuts to the day where he got his first, what is it? His first set of robes, and he's like, "I'm so thrilled! I have the uniform, and I really feel like I'm a part of something now." And then you flip forward a few more, and it says, "I just can't get this spell, get these spells right. I know I need to be able to control the ooze and turn it into the canister and all that stuff, but I just can't do it." Turn it into the canister is an interesting phrase that is used there. I know I can't you know, I can't just make this happen, but or I have to make this happen. Like I just need to keep working at it. Um, and then you flip forward some more, and it says, um, "Superior has assigned me my first task, though he has assigned another of the initiates to go with me. I fear he doesn't trust me, though I will wager that after this he will let me have my own ship, and I can go off and do more and more and make a name for myself, truly." Um, and then the last entry in the notebook is him saying, "Gods, do I hate my teammate. All he does is tell me that I'm wrong and that I need to study and that I'm pronouncing this wrong and that I don't have the right materials and blah blah blah. I know I'm going to do okay. Just I need him to relax and let me do my thing." That's the last entry.
So sorry, I'm not. So does it seem like that he was successful in turning it into the vessel or
The container.
container? Sorry,
Canister.
canister.
But unclear from the messages. It seems like he was trying and failing, and he was assigned a teammate to help him with that, and then he decided to pridefully not listen to that teammate.
Mhm. Okay, so it's ambiguous whether, but sort of trending on toward no, whether he was actually the person who did this to the ooze, or whether it was, but it may have been, so it was probably provided for him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
And did you also want to peruse the spell book while you were here?
Oh, yes.
Cool. So, going through the spell book, there's a lot of ones that you already know, like Fireball, Magic Missile, all that stuff. And at the end, you find that there's actually pages attached with different handwriting than the rest of the book. And this um, details the transform canister spell, which for folks listening at home is a homebrew spell that I have made up for this campaign. But
I do feel obliged to point out that as a cleric, I may not actually be able to understand the workings of an arcane spell.
I see. Okay, for sure.
I think
Oh,
as I'm an arcane trickster warlock, as a rogue, I think between the two of us, that might be a possibility.
Yeah,
uh,
I would certainly. I saw you cast Magic Missile
Yeah.
earlier, so I would certainly be like, can you make sense of this?
can you both roll me insight, actually?
Sure. Crit 23, baby.
Go.
Sorry, 21.
Oh, those are both plenty high for sure. So, indeed, between the two of you, you're able to make sense out of what this thing is at least trying to suggest. And what it has done is made it so that any magical creature that is summoned using this spell, um, upon the creature completing some sort of consumption, um, will trap the victim's soul within it as a storage container or a canister, that can then later be harvested by somebody who knows how to extract such things, uh, and you know, alluding to that Gensh will be the one to do that. Um, and the notes after the spell detail how an ooze is very good for such a thing because you can contain it in a relatively containable space, and you don't really have to feed it or nothing. So the only thing it's got to eat is the victims that will be harvested later. And so it becomes clear that the ooze that you saw just now was meant to be a canister. And it may have gotten a few people, but hopefully, with its defeat and its melting, the folks that it consumed will their souls will be free to go wherever they were supposed to. You're not sure of exactly what would happen there in this moment, but maybe that's a better thing anyway than being consumed by a super powerful lich.
Hopefully.
All right. So I will head off the ship to tell anyone else about this so that it doesn't easily die with us.
Indeed, for sure. While you guys were downstairs doing all of this, Amity and Slim, you guys found a old orc.
And I cheerfully am following behind Slim, like very much so, like very cheerfully saying, like, "Hello, that was a lot."
Are
I
you
say
saying
that
that
to
to
me
me
or
or to?
to the orc. Well, the other orc.
um, the orc opens his mouth and tiredly says, "Yes, quite so. I'm glad you're still chipper despite everything."
Well, that's me, chipper as always. Do you need any healing?
Hmm. Perhaps a long time ago. Physically, I appreciate that.
Do you need any emotional healing?
More than you might be able to give, little one.
Hmm. Well, what about you? And I turn towards Slim.
Me? I'm fine. I didn't get hurt, thankfully.
Just not anxiously, like, okay, okay. What happened? Like, I'm still kind of processing what went on, but anybody?
Um, the orc extends his hand to shake the hand of Slim. My name is Shange. Shonge. Shange.
Hi, Sean.
And he shakes Slim's hand and he sort of hesitantly extends his hand to shake Amity's, but Amity, being a gnome, being very small, he actually says out loud, "I'm worried I'll hurt you."
I just like, oh, you won't hurt me, and I jump up and high five him.
Despite his grizzled, serious appearance, you can tell he was chuffed by that. And he looks upon his two new acquaintances here, and he says, "It's a pleasure. I should like to tell you who you just killed."
Uh-oh.
These two, thankfully, were nobody. They were at the bottom of the food chain in this order of warlocks that serves Gensh, the powerful lich. Have you heard of him?
Can I roll for religion to see if I know more about this specific cult?
Totally, yeah.
That was an 18.
Yeah, plenty. Um, so you actually know quite a bit about this because it's a long standing order. Um, and it's interesting because the way that um, the warlocks seem to work in this cult is almost like a pyramid scheme where um, each warlock uh, patronizes their superior, and so there's you know like the most powerful of the cult, their patron is Gensh himself, and so they get lots of his cool lich powers, and he gets to be like this all completely powerful being, and then the next down in the chain will patronize um, you know that warlock, and then the next one will patronize that one, and so on and so forth until you get all the way down to here where Shanj explains this was the weakest of the rabble. They knew just enough to control that ooze, but they're more of a resource fetcher than a formidable opponent. Uh, I'm glad you guys could handle such a thing. This is good. But what I fear is that because they are being so bold as to arrive in the city, that they may be fortifying for greater efforts. And this, of course, is worrisome.
Yeah, that definitely means that there's more somewhere. How do you know so much about this?
Does he have a holy symbol on him?
Not one that you can see actively. Uh,
Okay.
but he he goes on to explain. He says, "I must admit, I am embarrassed that I was not there to fight alongside you. I know so much about these folks because I used to champion the fights against them. Gensh is an old and powerful lich, and my order of paladins used to drive his forces back into hiding with great regularity, and I am proud of this. However, as you can see, I am by myself, and I am old. I am too afraid to have even fought two of the lowliest henchmen and a simple ooze. I am grateful for your valor, young ones, but I am also ashamed."
Can I roll for insight to see if this is the truth?
Yes, go ahead.
That was a 4.
Okay, yeah. As far as you can tell, he's telling the truth. And he seems pretty broken up about all of this, so it seems genuine.
Don't worry. We took care of it, and I think we did a pretty good job, if I do say so myself.
I
So,
I would say so, indeed. My friends, and at this point, Dalen and Wolmist have appeared from down under the deck as well, and so you two are entering this conversation at the uh, a point that you guys would like some more context for, where he asks, "I'm well aware that you probably have your own lives and things to get up to. However, I must frankly beg for your help in this time. If Gensh is getting bold once again, then I will need ample fighters to find his minions and his conduits to stamp them out and make him once again fear for leaving his molten terrible lands. Is that something that you might be able to do?"
That sounds super depressing. And honestly, I think I could bring a little bit of light to these people. So absolutely.
Um, Shanj is a little taken aback by that, but nonetheless, he accepts that you want to uh, actually like do this, and so he goes, "Whatever motivation you might have is a good one. Thank you." Anybody else? What do you say to his proposition?
Well, I got 100 golds to make up to a blacksmith in town, so I think I could take on a couple of these problems. But also, a good fight's always worth fighting.
I will make sure you are paid very well for your efforts.
Honestly, quite a bold assumption that I have anything better to be doing.
Well, my friend, at that point, I am happy to give you what I hope to be a victorious adventure.
And I assure there is adequate payment
Oh, absolutely.
and potentially riches. An old cult, you know. They tend to have those kinds of things, correct?
I should say.
And
No,
no one is expecting them returned anywhere.
yes. This,
Sounds like a deal.
as far as I can tell, this city is the first to be struck. So between you and me, whatever you find is yours.
Thank you.
Uh, the imprisonment of souls is sufficient motivation for me. In fact, it cannot be. I would consider it my duty, in fact, to stop this, even if you had not asked.
You,
Seems
my friend, hold the valor and the determination that it will take for this to get underway. What is your name?
Uh, oh, I am Dalen Aval Willowstep. Dalen.
Very well, Dalen. I'm Shanj. And he goes for like the Roman handshake where he grabs your wrist like this. Um, he squeezes super hard, like unnecessarily hard for just a greeting like this. Um, but nonetheless, he goes like making like very intense eye contact. I look forward to your victory.
Okay, buddy.
Um, I smile while also trying and failing to not wince, as my already previously somewhat battered hands are, yeah, are ground against themselves.
For sure. Any of the
That's a lot, bud.
other three of you who are not receiving the handshake, make a perception check right now.
I got a two.
Okay.
What are hands and where are they? I got a 5.
I got a 15.
Cool. So once again, Slim is the only one to really notice. But yeah. Shanj, upon realizing that Dalen winced a little bit at the handshake, gets this smirk on his face of just like, haha, still got it. Well, my friends, let me give you this one last thing. And he pulls from a bag that is on his hip a map, and it shows the surrounding um, countryside and a lot of land further out from the city, all the way down to the volcanic regions to the south, where he points and he says, "This is where Gensh hides. You will need to take out every one of his warlock minions before getting to him. And just maybe then, when no one's left to protect him, you can defeat him. Take this. Let it guide you."
I snag it. I love
One,
maps.
one may say it would be dangerous to go alone.
Yes. And this is probably a good point to stop. Um, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so thank you all so much for being here tonight, and I would love to continue this adventure at some point if anybody would be interested. But for the purposes, thank you all who are at home watching this recording, and I hope that this gives you some sense of you know, familiarity and comfort with potentially trying this out. Role-playing games are such a significantly great way to develop social skills, to make to feel comfortable with things that are unexpected and to just have fun. So I hope you all give it a try. Thank you all for watching.